Coming up on the Home Shopping Network, it's the Settlers of Catan. This award-winning game which can bring the whole family together. Tingles with flyby. Daily ASMR videos. Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Home Shopping Network, coming to you right here from the heart of Tingledom. Tonight we have for you a game. This is the Settlers of Catan. This is a very popular board game that was created and first came out in 1995. Creator was Klaus Teuber, and it was originally a German game. It's still one of the only games that has had success outside of Germany and has gone on to international repute. It is considered one of the games of the century. It's won many awards, and it's because it's just a lovely, simple game which can change every time you play it, as there are elements of luck, strategy, and negotiation. These, in differing forms, can change the game every single time you play it. The premise of the Settlers of Catan is that you've arrived onto an uninhabited island and you place your settlements around and basically see who can grow the quickest, and you get points for different elements of your settlements. And the first to 10 wins. There have been a variety of expansions and other games that can be played. This classic version that we see here is made for ages 10 plus, takes roughly 60 minutes to play, and suits 3 to 4 players. So as you open the box, the first thing you're greeted with is your Settlers of Catan game rules and almanac. This is your one-stop shop to reference all of the rules, where you can find out what objects should be within your box and the like. You are greeted with this introduction from Klaus Teuber at the beginning. Dear settlers, before you invite your fellow gamers over, we suggest that you read over these game rules. Peruse the short game overview on page 16, which is the back cover, and study the game board illustration. Then read the game rules in peace. This will not take long. The actual rules, which is the red pages, are quite short. You do not need to read the almanac at the back of this book, the gold pages, quite yet. You just use the almanac for reference when questions come up during play. Now you are ready for your first adventure on Catan. Have fun settling this new land together. So we also have a list of all the components within the box, which is what I will now show you. We have a nicely set out box. It has this plastic insert which molds to the game pieces. The board, rather than being a traditional fold-out board, is constructed by placing these hexagons piece by piece together to form an island. You have your hills, which produce brick or clay. The desert, which produces no resources. There are the pastures, which produce wool, other pasture. Forests, which produce wood. Fields, which produce grain or wheat. And mountains, which produce ore. So when you build a settlement on the intersection of 3 hexes, you then allow yourself access to those resources. A number will be placed on the center of the hexagon, and when that number is rolled, if you have a settlement, you then obtain that particular resource. So there are lots of combinations for how your board can be laid out. This is part of what makes it flexible and different every time. You can set this out in your own specific pattern, or you can mix these up. There's no indication on the back what they are, and you can lay them out randomly, and it can create a brand new board every single time you play. The artwork on these is quite beautiful. Bucolic scenes of lovely pastures, or fields of flowing grains dotted with trees and rock elements. Have forests with little huts and rivers running between. The hills are beautiful. You can see where you could cut away the pieces of clay. Beautiful green and copper red. And each is slightly different. We have our mountains topped with beautiful crystal lakes, surrounded with grass around the edges. or small mountain springs. They're peaked, of course, with beautiful gray. And then, of course, our desert has a beautiful oasis. The hint of something that could be, but will not give you anything. Still beautiful. So you'll set these out in this fashion, and then you have these edge pieces to go around. We have 6 C-frame pieces, and you can see they have with them the edge of the island. These are sturdy cardboard. These will last you for years and years to come. You can see the beachy shores of the island, and at some points you have what's called a harbor. In the game, when you have 4 pieces of any resource, you may exchange them with the bank and get one of whatever resource you wish. With a harbor, there are different ways these work. This harbor says if you have 2 pieces of wood, you can exchange that for one of any other resource. So that can be quite handy. We have 2 brick for one. This reduces your trading from 4 to 1 to 3 to 1, and this can be used with any resource. And on and on. Now you'll notice these need to be connected in a very specific way. So where we see on this sort of puzzle piece sticking out a number 5, that goes next to the other piece that also has a number 5. So they're laid out so they can fit very specifically together. So that is our C pieces. That is what establishes your board. It's your hexes and the C pieces. The other thing that you'll need for your board comes in this bag. We have extra harbor pieces, so if you want to do a configuration where these harbors are placed elsewhere, you can cover this with a harbor piece, and that can be adjusted. There are 9 harbor pieces in total. It allows you to use the same setup without having to try and fit these pieces where they don't belong. And then you can customize. So, as I said, on each hexagon, you put a number in the middle. Now, there are a couple ways that people like to go about this. You can place them, you'll see at the top, there is a letter. So you can start and go around in alphabetical order. And that will create a very balanced board. Or you can put them down randomly, and you just need to avoid having any red numbers next to each other. For those who don't know their probability that well. There's a handy probability guide on the bottom of the numbers as well. So this gives you 4 little dots. A 2 gives you 1 dot, indicating that a 5 is much more likely to be rolled than a 2. So even if you put all of your hexes in the same exact spots, your numbers can be changed. So there's a lot of ability to customize with this game. And it makes it a fun and exciting adventure each time you play it. It does come with blank pieces as well, such as this. So if you lose a piece, or if you want to customize a board to have more of a particular number, then you may do so. Also, in that bag, we have the Robber. This is the fun banditry part of the game. So when you have your settlements built, and if your number gets rolled, then you get resources. There are no number 7s, however. So if a 7 is rolled, the person who rolls a 7 gets to take the robber and put it on the hex of their choice. They then get to steal a single resource at random from one of the settlement owners on that hex. The other element is not just the stealing of resources, it also then makes this hex nullified. So if this had a 5 on it, if a 5 is rolled, then no one will get their wheat or grain off of this hex. So it adds a bit of fun and strategy in that way. Put our Harbour pieces back in. All of these elements are very high quality. You'll be very pleased with the quality of all the elements. You'll be able to play this for years and years to come. Next, we have our dice. You use 2 dice here. One is red with yellow dots, the other yellow with red dots. The 2 different colors do not have any significance in this version of Catan, but can be important for expansion versions. Now, of course, it will be important when you're playing this game. You'll need to be able to see your settlements. What I love about these elements is that they're made out of wood. So if you look at this settlement, it's not a cheap piece of plastic. It's a nice, robust piece of wood, very durable. Don't have to worry about it getting broken. It just adds a nice quality feel to the whole game. So you have your single settlement, which is worth 1 resource when connected to your hex, and worth 1 victory point. and you're playing to 10. And then you have your city, which is worth 2 points and 2 resources. These are your roads. So you can't have, besides when you first place down on the island, all of your settlements and cities must be connected to each other. And there must be at least 2 lengths of road between a settlement and the next settlement. And a city must be an upgrade of a settlement. But that's probably a little too much detail. So there are 4 colors in our set of Catan. We have red, blue, and orangey yellow, and then white. Also included in this set are your cards. We have here development cards, which can be purchased with resources. They contain things such as a victory point, a knight who can drive off the robber. Here of plenty, take any 2 resources from the bank. They can be 2 the same or 2 different. Monopoly. When you play this card, announce 1 type of resource. All other players must give you all their resources of that type. So there can be lots of beneficial things within the development cards. We also, of course, have to have some way to represent the resources you attain. So we have them in these cards. These are beautiful cards. We again see these art style echoed from the pieces themselves in the background, and then a beautiful painting in the middle of the resource attained. It also allows you a quick reference of which is which. So we have our grain or wheat from the field, the ore from the mountain, the wood from the forest, the wool from the pasture, the brick from the hills. They're just all beautiful, beautiful cards. The last items that we have are these robust cardboard cards. We have 4, which show the building costs and also the number of points associated. It'll show you what you need, in what numbers, and how many victory points you may get. There's also a couple of handy rules right on the bottom, such as a city replaces an already built settlement. Usually you can only play 1 development card per turn, and you cannot play a development card on the turn it's built. Largest army. This is attained by having at least 3 knights and being the person who has the most number of knights. That's worth 2 points. And longest road, which is achieved by at least having 5 segments of road in a line and being the person who has the longest road, and that is also worth 2 points. So those can all be a part of the strategy in helping you win the game. So those are the elements in this game. Oh, you also see on the back of all of these cards, they have this same face so that your opponents won't be able to tell which cards you have. So I think this would be a wonderful thing to purchase for yourself and your family. It's a great game to bring people together, to teach negotiation skills, and just to have a lot of fun. It's also unique in that it is a wonderful game to play with 3 people. It's not often you find a game that works so well with 3 people. So if you often play with 3 people, this game is a must. So we're so pleased you've joined us tonight for this episode on the Home Shopping Network. We hope to see you again.